So hi, we've had a request for trees, a few more tree practice, and this is a picture that was done by Winslow Homer. Beautiful painting of the Adirondacks, and it is just gorgeously simplistic, and it's detail, you know, a kind of lack of detail, and I thought it would be a nice picture to try and duplicate because I really do love doing forgeries. Not for a living or anything, but it's always, I love copying artists' paintings because you kind of get to see how they would do something, you know, their sense of color. You know, this is a very different color sense than I have, and I just love being able to try somebody else's, you know, take on something here. So I am, you know, I'm not trying to make this perfect. It's very interesting, right? We've got this tree right here, almost directly right in the middle of the page, right? So something that they always tell you not to do, right? Don't put the focal point or whatever right in the center of the page. And that's why I tell you there really are no rules like that, because as soon as you go to a museum or something, you will see some artist has broken the rule, and there's their picture in the museum. So what does anybody know about what you should and shouldn't do, right? This is the thing. You know, we've got some beautiful blue Adirondack mountains back here, and let's keep going here. So we've got just a few branches. I'm gonna just kind of sketch things out, and we're gonna pretend we're Winslow Homer, which is a really nice thing to pretend. Right. So I used to copy a lot of his work in high school, and it was always very fun, just for art class and what have you. Okay, so there's some lovely little bit of abstract things going on. I think there's a bit of a lake down here, and let's see. Yeah, I'm going to sketch it out. It looks like, you know, very often he kind of painted on a yellowish paper, sort of a slightly off-white watercolor paper. So, you know, I'm going to maybe leave this one white this time. We could paint a wash of off-white on it if we wanted to, right? But I think what we're going to do is something similar to how we normally work, in that we're going to put the sky in first. And if I look at his painting, right, it's mostly cloudy, right, with a little bit of blue in the sky behind the trees. And so what we're going to do is we're going to put that in. You can see he sort of painted the negative around the clouds, and he would have painted behind all the trees. So I'm going to put a little bit of blue in there, and you know, do your best to kind of duplicate his painting style, which is very fun. As you can see, I mean, it's very abstract if you really look closely, just a little back and forth to show some blue in the sky. Let's chop a little. I'm using a cobalt. You could use an ultramarine, whatever you'd like. Okay. And then this is a similar blue to the mountain way in the back here. And of course, because the trees are all darker, you can, oh, there was some of them are darker. You can put the mountain in behind it. I'm sort of following along with where I see the blue. Okay. Maybe I'll leave that and we'll put it, he probably painted all the way down. Come to think of it, let's do that. We'll paint all the way down to the lake. He's just got such beautiful bluish grays. Really, such a subtle color palette. It's really nice. It's something that I admire since I tend to paint very bright and with a lot of color. So I like the opportunity to paint a little more subtly on occasion here. Okay, so we would have let this dry, all right, before we put any of the trees in, because you can see all the trees have very sharp edges. So this would have been the first layer here. Okay, I've got a new something as a surprise. What to do here? Okay, we're gonna do this. We're gonna stop and let the paper dry. All right, so, okay, meet you back here in a minute. All right, we're back. So here's our new little thing to show you when the video's starting again. So this is, yeah, almost dry, not quite. But let's see if we can do a few other pieces of this while we're waiting. I'm gonna grab a little ultramarine. Yeah. With its pretty color. Okay. And we're gonna put in our mountain here. Now it's not in front of the gray tree. So I'm still editing a little bit here. There's a branch right here that I think I'm not gonna put in, but we're gonna add this beautiful ultramarine mountain. Let's grab a little more. Just gonna put that all in there, let that dry. This kind of fades out over here. So we're just gonna blot that a little bit. You know, the thing with this is we've got to wait, we've got to do all the background bits first before we can put the trees in. So it's a bit of a waiting game, very difficult to be patient and wait, because you want to just do the more interesting things, right? Okay, I'm going to put in the mountain over here. I've added a little Payne's Gray to my ultramarine, and you can see there's a few little trees on the top of the mountain here. You know, I'm just kind of copying him. We're pretending he's our mentor today. All right. Add a little darker color to this for the moment. You know, all of this is going to be darker here. There's a beautiful, actually, I'm not sure if that's a canoe or a path or something there. Of course, I didn't leave enough white for that. Let's see if we can do that a little bit later. Okay, so we got to wait for this guy to dry here, our blue mountain. And let's see, the sky is drying nicely. See, we gotta wait again. Okay, I can't do anything. I can't put anything on this until this sky dries. So once again, we have to stop. Okay, we are back where everything's dried here. Time to start adding some more detail, more layers. I am going to grab my flat brush again, maybe my bigger flat. All right, we're gonna get the 1-inch flat out. we're gonna grab some Payne's Gray, and we are going to, let's see, we're gonna put this tree trunk in. All right, we're just gonna pull it all the way down and then add a little bit more. You know what? You can also turn things, right? So it's much easier to kind of go across sometimes and up and down. Okay, so I'm just kind of following my pencil line here. All right, we're just gonna let that dry because I think that's fairly light over there. Let's see, let's hope we're still in the picture frame. Okay. Let's look, you know, there was one little bit here, I kind of missed this little kind of ochre section here, so I'm gonna just sort of scrub this a bit and lock that. Too bad. Let's try it once more. I find that sometimes the smaller brush works better. And I'll scrub that a little bit. All right, probably shook the whole table there. I'm grabbing a little yellow ochre. Just gonna drop that in. All right, looks like I planned it, like it was there all the time. Okay, let's see. We've got one mountain in. We kind of need to add a little bit more to the front here. So that's another layer of color. It's interesting to me. It looks like I almost see cobalt in the back, ultramarine in on this mountain, and a little maybe Prussian blue and Payne's Gray on this section here. And now that I'm looking at it, the ultramarine probably goes all the way down. That's because she didn't notice that the last time. So even though this is wet, we're not going to worry too much. I am going to add that in. All right, I'm just going to put a little extra ultramarine in here. There's a mountain right here. Like that, and we're going to grab a little water and just kind of pull it across a bit. Dry. All right, we can always darken, that's fine. Let's see. Why don't we work a little bit on what's dry and what's wet here, right? You can actually put this tree in. Huh? It doesn't matter sort of which one we're going to put in first. I'm going to grab a big round brush, and we're going to use a little Payne's Gray. I think I'm going to put a tiny bit of sepia in it. So it's a little Payne's Gray and sepia. And we're going to do kind of what I usually do, which is put in the trunk here, and then we're going to paint this the way Winslow painted it, which is to say not a lot of detail here, right? I'm just going down. Oh, missed one. These are big white pines. Very pretty. Okay. And we're gonna get it. We'll get it a little darker as we go. Right, and we are just, we're trying to paint in a nice loose style, the way he is painted here, on site, basically. One of his trips to the Adirondacks. Okay, nice. All right, it's a little wet still there. yeah, this is gonna dry. And then we'll come in and we'll add a few little dots of extra color, right? We know this is gonna dry a little bit lighter here. This is interesting. This is like a little half tree that's fallen and is kind of, you know, out of a little thin, not, it's like he didn't quite finish putting it in. I think that's really interesting, right? So I'm just gonna put a little bit of that in. Maybe blot it a little bit so that it's a little out of focus or lighter, just the way he did it. And I'm going to add a little yellow ochre also, because I can see that in the picture as well. Okay, so we're just going to let that dry. You know, with this sort of a paint by number here, we're trying to figure out what's dry and what's not. Okay, it's a little wet still. Why don't we come over, let's do some of the darks, because they're kind of not in the way. This little section over here is dry. So let's do that. So I'm going to use a little, you can use some Payne's Gray. I've got something a little darker, and I'm going to put in a little, well, let's just put it on and see. Yeah, that's a little wet there. That's okay. So, you know, the reason this is so interesting, I mean, I'm not even sure what this is down here, but it's the lights and darks, right? We're going to start painting the negative to just get these little elements to kind of show up here. And, you know, we're not sure quite what this is. But that doesn't matter, because it's we can just follow along with the shapes. Add a little blue to this too. You know, I'm going to keep going with that ultramarine and that cobalt, because it really seems like that was his underlying color here. Okay. Yeah, grab this. We're trying to drag that a little bit. Yeah, so I lost it. Grab a paper towel here. There we go. Put it back in. We're going to take the same color and went a little more brown, right? I'm grabbing a little more sepia here. And we're going to come pull this up, and we're going to do a little bit up here. Got some interesting shapes. It's all just shapes and color and shadow and beautiful. I'm seeing kind of a lighter, yeah, it's like a little burnt sienna in here. Okay. Right here. There we go. Yeah, so what this is a whole bunch of just gorgeous color running together. Yeah, lost my thing again. Okay, just blot that a little. Back in. We can scrub it later if we have to. Not too bright. Okay. So we got a tree over here. I'm gonna put some of this stuff down here. I don't know. She's just talking to herself. Sorry about that. Okay. Let's put in one of the lighter trees. So I've still got this kind of Payne's Gray. Put in the small tree here. So we're just going to pull this up carefully. Turn it. It's much easier to do it sideways. Okay, let's pull this down. We're going to try and get this a little more even. There we go. All right. It's a little lighter in spots, so we're going to blot it a bit. And you know what? Let's do this tree that's in the back here, right? Or not. Let's put the other trees in too. Okay, we've got the 1/2-inch flat. So let's give that guy a try. I'm gonna give myself a guide to where the tree is. Okay. Let's pull this down. We're gonna try and get this a little more even. There we go. Yeah, so what this is a little lighter in spots, so we're gonna blot it a bit. Nope, we're gonna try it this way. We're gonna go down. That's just to kind of show me where the tree is. And then we'll put in another one in a minute. This is nice. You can see these two kind of connect together a little bit. They're, let's see if we can do that. Okay. All right, let's turn it sideways again. Picture sideways. I'll try and put everything back in a minute. Okay, so pull this up. A little bit more water. Okay, yeah, grab a little more paint, a little more. I'll just give this guy one more shot. All right, there we go. Lighten this. All right, and then we've got one dark one over here. Dark tree. Actually got a slightly lighter version here, so let's give that one a try. Okay, so also we're just gonna pull it across. And now I know where the tree is, so I can go back and spend a little more time here. Pull that up. And once more. Right, okay. Whoops, a little wider there. Okay. Fix that. Let's fix the tree. Grab this. Just got a little too wide right there. Paper towel takes it off. Gosh, those paper towels are fantastic. Okay, there we go. A little better. All right. So let's see if we can go back. Hope we're still in the frame here. Okay. So we're just kind of skipping around, looking at this as it's drying, trying to figure out what to do. Let's try a few of the little branches here. So I've got a smaller brush, a little 6-inch, and I am no, I'm not. I'm going to have to add another branch there. A few little. This is so clever, you know, how to notice all the tree trunks that are the branches that are, you know, half branches or they've been cut off. It's just a very nice, nicely observed picture, right? You know, he really spent some time looking at these branches as they grow, and you know, it's nice to oh gosh, this one comes all the way from over here. You know, if you're looking at a tree rather than a painting from your imagination, which you know, you tend to kind of make lollipop trees if you're not, you know, looking at something. So that's why I do like to work from an image, and I again really like seeing somebody else's version of things here. So so cute. Okay, so we're just following along here. A couple branches. Oh, that's a nice one right here. A few. No, we're not trying to make it perfect. We're experimenting. Kind of like he was. This is a nice little idea for texture on a tree trunk. And I'm just following along with what he has been doing. You know, and granted, this was a very probably at least a half sheet of watercolor, so rather large painting. He would have painted large. And so we're just doing a little quick study of it. Right? Okay, so I'm holding my brush, you can see holding it up very high, straight up, and that allows me to do a more irregular line. Okay. All right, very cool. So let's see if we get a few more of these. It's nice when it's a little thinner. So I'm just coming in, you know, working a little at a time here, noticing things as I'm painting. And let's see how it goes. Okay, all right. I mean, what's lovely about this is if you really look at it, it's quite simple, right? You know, I mean, it's one stroke for the trunk. The background is very loose, and it's gorgeous, right? It's really, it's got so much depth, and you know, you really can tell that you are someplace. You know exactly where you are. You're in the Adirondacks. You captured the mood perfectly. Okay, let's see here. While this is almost dry here, so let's go in. We'll add a little bit of little more gray in some spots here, and you can see he's also got a little bit of nice green. So let's see, we've got some sap green. Darken it up. You can darken it up with a little bit of blue. All right, let's put that in. One little bit there. And just just a slight indication of green. You hardly even see it. Let's drop some in there. Okay. Now there is some up here, so let's go. Let's see where we are. We're at the top. Oops, we're gonna get this tree here. Use the side of my brush and just put in a little bit of green and a little bit here. Right. Then we're gonna come in. I'm gonna use a slightly bigger brush. Here's my brush number 10, size 10. Okay. Paint, a little more sepia, a little green. All right, let's give this a try. So you can see, you know, I'm looking at this, the foliage are just clumps, little bits of foliage, nothing too detailed, nothing, it's amazing how beautiful it can look. It's just a little bit of indication of shape, right? Here, let's start over here. Add a little bit more. Right. Actually, it's even a little grayer than that. Let's add a little more gray, a little more Payne's gray. Okay. Now I got this tree, I gotta get in a little darker, but that's okay, I can do that as we go here. I'm just gonna get some more in. We got dark. You know, I'm kind of skipping all over the place, so that's okay. Just putting in some things. Here's a little bit of lighter, adding a little bit more water. And we're gonna put that in first. Darken it up later. But you can see, you know, the thing to remember is that he painted this as a study, right, done on site, and he painted it, you know, fairly quickly, right? So the thing is, I want you to paint this, you know, fairly quickly also. Don't labor over this. You really want to, you know, try and capture the essence of the Winslow Homer here, which is just the gorgeous use of minimal amount of color, and his just beautifully simplistic brush strokes, brush work here, right? So, okay, come on up. And there's the tree. All right, a little more water. Get this a little thinner. You can see that's a lot lighter over here. It's pretty. It almost looks like a woodblock print. So beautiful. Okay. I'm just gonna add a tiny bit of blue to that for some reason. I don't know why. Okay, we got a little green here. A little more water. Yeah, and I'm kind of off slightly, but that's okay. I don't mind so much. It's the we're trying to just capture the essence of the painting here. And a little more blue of that too. Okay. Yeah, this is getting kind of fun. Okay. I want to come back in and darken the trunks up a little bit, give them a little bluish tint. Can't talk while we're trying to do a straight line here. Okay. All right. I should be using my flat for that, so we'll go back and use it a little later. Okay, so it looks like, he's done a couple layers of color here. So we're gonna have to let this dry in a little while, and then we'll do another. We'll add the darks, right? So we're gonna put the light foliage in first. Okay, there's our green. Let's lighten this up a little bit, right? And come in here with a paper towel. I'm just gonna lighten that up. There's our green. It's almost like there's a little bit of spruce color back there. Okay, well. A little more. Tone it down. Okay. Put in some of the dark branches. And you can see this tree is almost the same color, so let's add that at the same time. We'll darken this tree up. Okay. A little green. Let's grab a little green. Okay. So you want to turn your brush a little bit to see what kind of texture you can get. Right. You can see it's actually not. There's a lighter layer underneath this, right? That's why if I leave some of the light stuff, it actually looks a lot like bark. Who knew how simple it could be? We always try to make things more complicated than they are. All right, let's come back up, darken that. Let's see a little bit of those light spaces. Come in, darken up this. Right, this is nice. We've got this trunk in the front that's a little light. Okay, a little more green. Green here. And let's start big branch. Big branch. branch I missed. Okay, come in. You know, just this time I'm using kind of the side of my round brush. Okay, turn the brush as you go. All right, we have a few more branches over here. Okay, everything dries a little bit lighter, so keep that in mind. You want to put enough paint on that you're making it worthwhile, right? Do this. Okay, let's go ahead and drop a little green in here if we can. Come on, green. There we go. Okay, this one this time we're going to mix it a little. You can see there was a lighter one underneath there too. Lighter branches. Okay, let's see. We got a dark trunk here. This one's a little too wide, but that's okay. It's fun painting loose. Very nice. Okay, yeah, so the thing is you want to just kind of be painting around the tree trunks. Right, they're lighter than the branches in the back. Okay. Oh, interesting, this one's almost a little blue, huh? It's probably just Payne's Gray, but it looks very pretty. Okay, this guy's got a little detail, so let's put it in here, get some texture. Okay. There's a bit of texture in this one, but this is a little too wet right now. More green up in here. Okay. Yeah. So, you know, I'm going. I should probably stop. But can she? No, she can't. I'm going to try and darken this up a little bit. Just a little bit more. Wet. I feel it might be too wet. Let's see. Okay. Yeah. This is interesting right down here. I think this is a reflection on the lake of the trees on the shoreline over here. So, mine's not in exactly the right spot, but I'm just going to move it over and we'll do that. And now we also have to get a little bit of color on here. This is more mottled, this mountain range here in the front. Let's grab some of that. Okay. And quite a bit darker over in this section. Oh, there we go. Oh, that's it. It's over there. Oh. Yeah, see, she's just painting and finally realizing where the picture goes. Okay, let's get that off. Get that trunk right. Well, and not much darker here. More model. Let's bring this mountain up a little bit. Oh, he was so good at this. Okay. Get a little more refined here. I'm going to take a dry brush there. why don't we let this dry and we'll see how it looks after that. Okay, so here we go. Stop and let that, I can't put this down, it's all wet. There we go, try it there. Stop and let the paper dry. Okay.